everybody. Welcome back to our 7th episode of Happenings in Dearborn Public Schools. Today we have a feature program. We're going to be talking about Parent Talk and Teacher Talk. I have a couple of guests with me, Fouani, current district leadership coach, and Margaret King Ahmed, currently overseeing the parent program within the district with this program and just supporting parent involvement in the school district. What was your official title?
So it's the Districtwide Parent Involvement Educator.
Okay, thank you, because I know at the last episode also I referred to you as Peggy,
Yes.
And really you said, wait, no, but that's because we go back about 19 years when we both got hired as teachers, and at that time I did know you as Peggy, so I wanted to make sure I got the title right this time, so I just deferred to you and let you stay. So going back to our time at Salina, so it's good to have you here.
Yes, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I really appreciate both of your time, and I know partway through the show we're going to also have Mr. Denison come in, another guest on the show. So can you tell me about the program, Margaret, Parent Talk? What is this Parent Talk system that's being implemented with your leadership in the district?
I'd be thrilled to tell you and our listeners. Parent Talk is a program where I go into the schools and I bring this program, provide classes, coursework to parents to add skills to their toolbox, their parenting toolbox. And these skills include things like helping to motivate kids, teaching kids how to be responsible. It's also to help kind of nurture them and uplift them, but using verbal skills to do that. So these verbal skills are very simple. There's like 21 skills that the parents learn. And after they go through the program, they get a certificate of completion, and we celebrate our success. And the parents come back and tell me how things have worked for them, how the skills that they've learned, they have already implemented, and they start to see different, they see changes, they see different outcomes, positive outcomes. And so really, I think all in all, the program does this. It focuses on how parents are parenting. What do parents need to know and the 21st century in parenting? Technology has taken us into a whole nother realm. We used to rely on the skills that we that we learned from our own parents and that they learned from their parents. However, all those skills aren't working as well today in today's society. So we're looking at new ideas, new ways to communicate with kids, and that's really what this is. It's a way to communicate with kids so that we can change the outcome. We talk about letting go of things like what we call them consequences, right? Not punishments anymore. It used to be we hit someone. We hit someone, we spanked them, right? Or we punished them. We use that word punishment. And so we don't use that anymore. That's not getting us anywhere. It just hurts people. The parent feels guilty. The kids don't feel happy about it. And then there's kind of like battlegrounds, right, at home. So what we do is we change up even the language, the verbal skills. What are the words we're using with our kids? How are we talking to them? Are we keeping the integrity? Are we keeping that respect? It has to start with us as parents. We have to say to ourselves, what can I do differently? Because we know parents are the first teachers, the most important teachers, and they will be the teachers for the rest of their lives. So the idea is to make sure that we're modeling. We want that for our teachers in classrooms. We want them to understand you're modeling for these kids. You're modeling all the time behavior. So we want to also make sure that the parents have those same skills on how to model for their kids to change outcomes.
Thank you, and I can speak specifically some of my experience too. I know when I was a principal at Duval going back to 2010, we brought you in for some training of parents, and I know our parents loved the program. I also know I loved it because I used some of your strategies with my own children at home, with my son and daughter at the time when we were trying to, really be thoughtful. So thank you. Appreciate that.
Appreciate that feedback.
Ms. Fouani, former principal, administrator, longtime administrator in the district. We appreciate you being here again and
thank you for
all
inviting.
you've done. Yeah, absolutely. So tell me your experience with the Parent Talk system.
We've worked together for several years, and we know as administrators, as parents, how important it is to keep that communication going between school and parents, and inviting parents for sessions like this, like Parent Talk. Some of the things that I, noticed when parents joined these sessions is that they were really intense. You'd walk into a session and they truly listening, they're tuning in on what's going on. They want to learn strategies. They're working collaboratively together. So I see Margaret really allowing or providing a lot of opportunities for those parents to converse about their experiences with their own children. And what was great about it also, considering that she's also a teacher and worked for, for our schools,
and a parent.
Aligns, and a parent.
Yeah, we all are.
Aligning it also with how we deal with children in the school. And so the emphasis was on positive reinforcement of behavior and communicating in ways that are effective with your child, just as you would expect the teachers to communicate with students in schools, so that comparing of what works and what doesn't work. So I really thought that the parents loved the sessions and made positive comments. Although I would have liked to see more participation. This is something maybe that, at our schools we need to try to recruit more parents to come because it's very useful. After all, it's really for the benefit of all students, of all children.
And there's been some talk of expansion of that. I mean, I know we haven't gotten into specifics, but
Right.
Between, you said recruit more, well, maybe that's something we're going to take on as more of a direct recruitment or expanding the program system-wide, because I know it is out there and it's popular wherever it goes. I mean, I get great feedback when just so you know, when I walk in the buildings and hear about it, they speak very highly of the program. And really, it's a way to outreach to parents and really so that they can help and give them the tools and things necessary so that they can help their own children. That helps our entire school district, which helps our students in their achievement and their well-being.
And I started way back in 2001. Mr. Cataldo, actually, I was at Maple School, and he helped me go ahead and test the waters with the program. I was just learning it for myself for the first time, and he allowed me, I had a little bit of time in my schedule as an enrichment teacher to test it, put the program out there, see if parents were interested in it. And it did go very well. Yeah. And I was very thrilled that I had that opportunity. However, I did get feedback from parents since 2000 all the way up until now that, what about the parents that are working? How do we reach them? And so we decided, it was a team effort and a lot of think tank work on behalf of Kathleen McBroom and several other people about how do we reach them? So we decided we'd offer evening classes. So that's what we're doing. We're really looking to accommodate as many parents as we possibly can.
And I also reflect on the times that you came and worked with the staff as well, worked with teachers and presented this information to the teachers, and so that again we're building the bridges between school and home and speaking the same language.
Yes.
And I think, just letting people know about it, somehow advertising the program, it is a very valid and useful program that, like I said earlier, we want more parents to join in. And it is in how many schools now? It's in many schools.
Well, I do my best to get to all the schools every year. It's not always possible, but we do what we can to do that. And this year I decided I would do something that collaborated with your efforts to do feeder schools and cluster schools and see if I couldn't get different, like the elementary, middle school, and high school parents together and under one umbrella, under one school, as one school would host. And that went well, but not as well as I anticipated. But we'll look at some new ideas for the next time around.
Well, I appreciate you doing that. I know, Mrs. Fouani, I appreciate you being here. We're going to take a little pause, but before we do, we have history from Salina, and also we do.
That's
going back, and I appreciate the things when you were my assistant principal. I was a teacher and learned a lot from you over the time. And you were a teacher. Yes,
I was over there as well, and I didn't get a chance. You were talking about the teacher talk, and we were going to talk just a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're going to just take a little pause and get Mr. Denison up, and then we'll probably talk about the teacher talk in the next. But thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so we'll take a little pause as we switch over to Mr. Denison, who's going to be another guest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. We now have Mr. Denison, principal of Bryant Middle School, here with us. Mr. Denison, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Great. So you're here to talk about Teacher Talk and your experiences. I'm just going to kind of leave it open to you.
Okay.
Tell me your experience with the Teacher Talk. I know you've worked with Ms. King Ahmed and some of the things that you've implemented.
Right. Margaret was came to Howard when we were looking for a parent program to put into place, and we had invited parents to come in. I think that I was looking for a big showing, so I was hopeful, and I think that we had about 5 or 6 parents show up. Margaret came and graciously started presenting the curriculum that she has about how to improve your skills as a parent. And I think that, I looked at the crowd of people who were there, and they were parents who were very supportive. But every parent who came, every week went away with 1 or 2 things that they could try at home to maybe change their parenting. So we did that at Howard for a few times, and then the last 2 falls she made herself available for the Bryant community and came there as well. And again, I think that as a parent myself, you look for tools to really make you a more effective parent. I hope my own kids aren't watching this because they would rat me out and say, "Oh, no."
I think we've all been there, right?
Exactly.
At some point.
But there's skills that you can use to make yourself feel effective, and you can teach your kids and empower them in ways that they can make decisions. So they are more successful as a child. And then I took some of those skills that Margaret taught, and I was able to use them as a principal. So when kids were running down the hallway, instead of yelling, "Don't run," stop doing that, and giving it such a negative in negative context, I was able to phrase it in a positive light and use it more as a teaching tool. Because I think that's what, as a parent, when we're disciplining our kids and we're correcting, we really are trying to teach them and trying to help them make choices that they'll make later on, and continue to make those own for themselves. So I think empowerment is one of those words that Margaret uses with parents, and it's very powerful.
And just so that for our audience, you were your current principal at Bryant. You've been there for over a year now, second year, I believe,
Yes.
into the second year. And how long were you principal at Howard?
8 years at Howard.
8 years. So you have the experience both from elementary and middle school implementing, working with Margaret for the program. So, okay.
And like I said, Margaret, I think we think we can include a lot more, but she's really effective in that small group setting. When a parent will come up and say, we've talked about some of these tools, but really here's what I'm struggling with. I can't get my child to go to bed without giving me a fight. So she'll sit down with them and work out a strategy. They go home, they go back the next week, they try it, and then they come back and Margaret said, how'd it go? And they're able to to analyze it, pull some of the good positive things out, and just continue to work on those skills as a parent. I think I've taken the class about 5 times, and every time I take it, I come away with something new that I can try with my own kids. Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Well, thank you. Well. So we have the parent talk, and we appreciate some of the experiential information, your implementation. We also have this teacher talk aspect, and maybe we'll come back to Margaret, and if Andy, you feel that you need to add anything, feel free to. But can you tell me the difference between the parent and the teacher talk program?
That's a great question. I find that both the parent talk and the teacher talk really are a marriage. The author of Parent Talk was the author of Teacher Talk first. And as an educator, he found that, he was hearing his colleagues say things to their students in ways that were belittling, or he could tell they were struggling, that they were angry, frustrated, and he started to research that for himself. He raised his own grandson, and he decided to team up with 2 other authors, Thomas Haller, who is a therapist, and then with Sarah Knapp, who is a social worker. And they looked at what are the best practices for teachers and for parents. And so he came up with Teacher Talk first. He thought, I want to empower teachers because, the teachers are modeling all the time for kids. And so he thought, okay, but this can easily segue into parenting. And so that's what they did. They teamed up together, they looked at what the best practices were, and they came up with both Teacher Talk and Parent Talk. So Teacher Talk came first. But we do find that the language is very similar. The phrases, the verbal communication is very similar. And it's getting us to have some kind of autonomy, both students and the teacher. It's finding that common denominator. It's understanding that sometimes we have to just share control, that control can't just always be the parent or the teacher, and that we see these children and the youth, and in a way that says, I know you can handle it, I believe in you, I see you as capable. And we let go of that battleground where you do it because I said so, because this is, this is how we do things. And that we start to really kind of flex ourselves a little bit and see how to approach things differently so that we can create win-win situations. So the language is very similar. It's very similar. And I do teacher talk as a PD. And then I do Teacher Talk Advantage sometimes at Star Saturdays. So I really want to encourage our teachers to sign up for that, and they get credit for that. And it's very empowering. That word is perfect. It's an empowerment piece. We add empowerment for ourselves so that we can empower others. Because we all know we lead by example. I've appreciated so much of the work that you've done so far since you've been the superintendent. I've admired you even as a colleague working, side by side, and Andy as well. And I just can't say enough wonderful things about the both of you and our other guests that we had here. And I feel that really, if we can lead by example, things change.
Absolutely, and
Yes.
and I appreciate you as well. I know as I've had some different circumstances, and we've had some staff I've worked with, and I've asked you to come in and help, and you've been admirable in assisting and supporting that. And I guess I'd like to say too, we're looking to expand this in the district, and I think it is important in the value. The people are here. I can hear Mr. Denison, Miss Fouani, and you can hear the passion. You believe in it, and again, it's something that's going to help our students ultimately, and it helps parents with their children. So, so the other thing I know, just from a pragmatic aspect, is the blogs, that's another goal. And you have a blog going, is that correct?
Yes,
Parent Talk?
yes. People can find the blog by doing the www.dearbornschools / I believe it is parenttalk.org.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
So usually on the show, I've been having a theme where I'm kind of doing an update on Red Wings and sports and things. But we have an MSU fan here, I think, Green, right? We're not
Go Green, go White.
Green. So we did have, we had a lot of high with the making it to the playoff, and then with the basketball team and all that. What are your thoughts right now on being an MSU supporter?
Obviously, just disappointed on the evening of the game, but it's my team, and my team lost, but Alabama obviously was a good choice, playing well last night. We are a basketball school, so getting geared up for the run through the Big Ten here and March Madness. So eager to see how the team responds to that.
Well, I wish the MSU best with the basketball. I'm also, with the maize and blue, I got to say, I wrote for both. I'm not per se biased, but I do appreciate you both being here today and being part of that, this discussion. And so until next time, appreciate our guests here today. We're going to continue to have 2 shows a month, and want to thank all the teachers and all the parents out there who are supporting this program. And if you're interested in it, you can go check out the blog or contact Ms. King Ahmed to get more information.
And you can call me at 313-827-8788 if you have any further questions about the program. Thanks.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks.